Hello everybody and welcome, it's Flyaway J here. Today we're starting a very early flight, flight 18 of 50 of my Walker Air Nordics tour. Today we'll be flying in the WB-Sim Charlie 172, routing as you can see from the Akureyri Airport in Iceland all the way to Isafjordur Airport, Bravo India Sierra. Today, as you can see or kind of see, the weather is quite bad. It's going to be quite cloudy, some low clouds. And when we arrive in Isafjordur, we'll be faced with about 30 knot winds, gusting up to 51 knots. We're going to be taking off with roughly 136 kilograms of fuel. We've got 3 passengers on board, including the pilot. Payload of 251 kilograms. Means we're very close to max takeoff weight of 1,160. We're actually just under, about 6 kilos under. Being the winter time in the northern hemisphere, we're taking off at 10:30 local time, also UTC. You can see the sun hasn't even come up yet, so we estimate takeoff is in about 10 or 12 minutes. Time en route is going to be 1 hour 20 minutes, covering roughly 135 nautical miles or 250 kilometers. Without further ado, let's jump in the cockpit and get this flight started. Okay, you can see my torch is on. It's always quite cool. It's a nice feature of Microsoft Flight Simulator. Let's get rid of this. And let's start up with the startup procedures. First things first, parking brake has to be set so we don't roll forward when we start up. Fuel selective valve needs to be in. Fuel shut-off valve, shall I say. Set the fuel selector to both. Now for the throttle, we're going to push it just a 1/4 inch in, roughly about there. For the mixture, we're going to pull that to idle cutoff. Master, which is over here. Alternator and battery on, which should bring some of our instruments into play. We can turn on the beacon. Fuel pump for this Charlie 172 is on. Now what we do is we advance the mixture full forward, or otherwise known as full rich, until we see a fuel flow established, and that we'll see over here. We just have a look. You barely notice it, but it moves. So as you advance it, you can see the fuel flow going up. That's basically priming the engine. Turn the fuel pump back off. Now we've got some fuel in the engine. What we're going to do is start her up. Clip her up. That wasn't a good start. What am I missing? Okay, I got mixture in, that's on. I don't think I'm missing anything. We've got fuel, fuel's on, mixture full rich. Maybe not enough throttle. Advance the throttle a little bit. There we go. Pretty much just a cold start. Temperature outside is currently -7 degrees, which could explain why we struggle to start the engine. After start, we advance throttle for about 1000 RPM. We can just try 1-2 to get warmed up a little bit quicker. As you can see over here, fuel pressures are green, temperature's very cold, vacuum is working. Amps. We've got charge on the battery. That's a good start. Just gonna wait for the temperatures to come up a little bit, and then we should be good to go. Alright, we can start with the before taxi checklist. The next thing we start is turning on some nav lights because we're flying at night. We can turn on the taxi lights just to let people know we're about to taxi. Avionics, very important for navigation flights. Some warning chimes. We can start setting up the instruments along. Pressure is 1020 here at Akureyri, right about there. Strobe light on. Not sure why these aren't turning on. Am I missing something? There we go. Better turn it on over there. Turn on the floodlights so you can see what we're doing. Okay, you can see we've got our flight plan already planned out. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so you can kind of see where we're headed. Going to be following a direct flight. Not going to be too much traffic. I'm going to set the barometer pressure over here. It's the baro. Initial altitude is going to be 4,000 feet. Okay, all set up. Transponder, we're going to hit standby. Walk 2000. Pitot heat, I'm going to turn on. Flaps, because we're taking off a little bit heavy, we'll set that up so long. Just going to visually inspect them. Flaps first stage. Okay, next thing we do, set the trim for elevator, for takeoff I mean. Otherwise, elevator. Here we go. Flight controls. Free and correct. Have a look at that. All good. Check the rudders. What a beautiful aircraft. Alright. Mixture full reach. When we taxi, I'm going to lean it back slightly so we don't foul up the engine. Okay, we're ready for taxi. Going to do that. Drop the throttle. And let's go. Okay, all clear, let's run. Unfortunately, there's no taxiways that take us to the end of the runway, so we're going to have to actually backtrack. Going to be taking off on runway 01 today. Left turn out. Just going to have to be quite mindful of the terrain in this area. This airport is located in some valley, and what's in front of us is actually a fjord, an inlet. When I landed here the other day, it was actually the runway was actually completely covered in snow. It was very difficult to see where we are and what we were doing. It looks slightly better today, not completely snowed over. Okay, all the instruments are responding normally. Strobe lights are on, beacon is on. It's going to lean the mixture out a little bit. Quite a cool feature of this WB-Sim is it has its settings built up here in, which I'm assuming is the ADF radio. Let me see if I can show you. No fouling, engine oil level, realism. Not sure how to change these things.
State saving enabled. State saving enabled.
Oh, that's quite cool. Okay, here we are at the end of the runway. Just gonna do a quick lineup here. Just taxi back towards the numbers so we can see where we are in the center. Currently no traffic, so I'm just going to line up here and wait. Okay, just to keep the temperatures up, I'm going to just idle at 1200, test the brakes quickly, and we're good. Parking brake is on, 1200 RPM. Okay, let me just explore this quickly. See what we got. Realism, engine health 100%, fouling none, oil level. Why I've don't have fouling is because I've pulled the mixture so a little bit. Okay, what have we got? Tide on, cowl plug, state saving. That's interesting.
State state saving disabled.
I wonder what this off means. That the realism is off somehow? Anyone knows what that means? Let me know. Anyways, we got a flight to do. Slightly late. Supposed to take up at 10:30. But we should be good to go. We'll take off, mixture full rich. Beacon on, landing lights on. Alright. Hit the road. Advance the throttle nice and slowly. There's full throttle. Temperatures and pressures are green. Looking for 60 knots to rotate. There's rotation. And let's pull gently back. Tap the brakes once. And we're off. Air climb at 74-ish knots. Can already feel that wind pushing us a little bit off course. Alright, there we go. Just flaps up. Just gonna get 70 knots there in the climb. 74 knots, correction. Give us a good rate. You can just make out these ridges. They're roughly 2,000 feet. So I just want to make sure I get enough altitude before I turn into those. Hopefully not into them, but over them. And the landing lights off, taxi lights off. Don't want to drop too low below 74 knots, but I can definitely feel there's some wind here. Beautiful night lighting. Alright. Can kind of just make out it's not super safe to fly over there, but just kind of battling the winds a little bit here. I'm going to try and gain as much altitude currently over the fjord before we turn left. Okay, autopilot's on. Just going to maintain. Same heading. Then turn one of these floodlights off. That's a bit better. You can see slightly, if you look over there, that's kind of what we want to avoid. Kind of drops down the closer it gets to the coastline, but we're not going to take that chance. Would have expected the sun to be up already at 10:30 in the morning, but apparently not. Still just routing towards the coast. Temperatures and pressures remain good. Lights are still good. I've set the navigation to GPS mode, so when we are ready to turn off, we'll just resume the GPS track over here. Currently flying slightly off course, but it's just to avoid flying into these very treacherous looking mountains. Maybe if I turn off these lights, you'll be able to see better. There we go. Oh, where are the panel lights? That's what I actually need. Panel. Oh, here. That's better. Beautiful. Yeah, you can definitely see that is not where we want to be crossing over at night. Over here should be, at the very least, almost the tip of the northern coast of Iceland. I'm going to zoom in the range so you can see a bit better what we're trying to achieve here. I don't know if the GNS 530 has the terrain mapping. I don't think so. There we go, you can see the coastline forming here. You can actually see some ice building up slowly on the windshield. Minus 18 degrees at the moment. There's 6,000 foot. Gonna level off there. Gonna warm up the cabin a little bit. Seems like it's freezing in here. Okay, and what we can do now is hit the nav button and allow the aircraft to take us in the direction we start needing to go. So as soon as we intercept the magenta line, that would automatically automatically take over. That should do it. So the WB-Sim C172SP Classic enhancement is a product from Just Flight. I'm not sponsored by them. I just bought it. $21.99 if you want to upgrade it. What it needs is I think it's the premium Microsoft Flight Simulator. Just going to reduce the mixture here slightly. Come back on the throttle. Just so we can... There we go, 2300 RPM. Just going to check the mixture, pull it. So what you want to see is, as you're pulling the mixture back, going to hit 2300. As you're pulling the mixture back, you should see a slight peak, which is there, and then a drop. You just want to be slightly richer peak. There we go. And that's pretty well set up. Then what you can see is your fuel flow is actually quite normal in the green arc, or the green part of the arc. Temperatures and pressures are all good, amps are good, vacuum is good, and fuel is looking good. As I was saying, 172 is an enhancement for, I think it's the premium bundle, because you need the classic 172, classic default 172. Apologies, it's the deluxe or premium deluxe. Those are the ones. And some of the features that you get that are extra are things like, from the electrical system, is a dynamic battery voltage drop, correct ammeter display, external charging if you need to. Just watch that RPM. I don't know why it's dropping. There we go. Battery amperage is subject to temperatures, functioning circuit breakers which can trip. From a cockpit perspective, what is quite cool about this is it's got state saving. So in other words, where you leave the aircraft is where you're going to find it in the same state, which is, you know, it adds to that realism. It's got updated gyro spin animations, custom lighting, gauge needles are subject to engine vibrations. So it really adds a lot of realism to what is otherwise a pretty default aircraft. Some of the things I mentioned earlier are things like the spark plug fouling, engine wear and tear. It's got engine priming, as we showed earlier. You know, aircraft took a bit of time to get started. That's an example of the engine priming. You can even overheat the starter if you try it too many times. It's got accurate oil usage, and basically what it totally adds to realism is that there is sort of simulated damage. So if you overrun the engine, it'll start wearing out a lot sooner. You might burn more oil, whatever the case might be. Yeah, you can even get rip off struts from your wings if you land too hard too many times, which is something I absolutely try and avoid at all costs. On Walker Air, you can you don't qualify. Your flight sort of gets voided if you land harder than 600 feet per minute. So you try and get it as softly as possible, which is in real life something that you'd have to strive to do. Let's have a look at the outside and see what we can see. Still a lot of darkness. Local time is still 11 o'clock. Completely dark outside. Oh, absolutely bizarre. Fuel flow is just creeping slowly up. I'm going to bring that throttle back to 2300 RPM again. Just really don't want to fly into any mountains. Well, I'm sorry guys, I didn't think this was going to be a night flight. But I guess it's quite cool that you can see what the Charlie 172 looks like. What we can do is have a quick look around the aircraft. It's got your standard radio stack up here. Garmin GNS 530, Garmin GNS 430, and a Bendix King KAP 140 autopilot. Pretty standard looking transponder. I think it's Bendix King if I'm not mistaken. Yep, that's what it is. Set to Alt. We need to ident, we just hit this button so that the radar controllers can see where we are. This here controls, in this instance, the skis on the wheels. This, obviously, as I showed you, is sort of the settings. Settings for the Just Flight 172. Quite a cool place to put it. The other alternative is they often have those sort of iPad things that pop up, so you can kind of control the aircraft. Alrighty, you can see these peaks are monstrous over here. So it's adding a bit to the turbulence that we're experiencing right now. You can see by the vertical speed indicator that we are experiencing some turbulence. Let's watch this RPM. Watch our airspeed. Last thing you want to do is stall in a place like this. Just a reminder, if you enjoy these flights, like and subscribe. If you ever want to fly with me live, happy to do that. Just pop me a message in the chat and we can meet up on one of my flights between on this Nordic tour. Basically, I think this tour, the next stop we do is, so today we're on our way to Isafjordur. And then from Isafjordur, the next trip goes to Reykjavik. And then from Reykjavik, it's on to Bergen-Flesland Airport. What, that was a concerning beep. Just gotta keep watching that RPM. So Bergen-Flesland is back in Norway, I believe. So we've only got, after this one more stop in Iceland, and then it's back to Norway. Drop a comment in the comment section letting me know what plane you'd like me to fly next. It's gonna have to be something fast because it's an over the ocean crossing. It's never a good thing when you hear you're only 2,500 feet above the ground when you're at 6,000 foot above mean sea level. But we knew what we were in for when we set up with this flight. We knew there's some very high mountains in these areas. At least the sun's coming up a bit so we can kind of see a little bit better what's going on. I hope in front there those are clouds and not actual mountains because those look really high. Just for your interest, the highest peak in Iceland is the Vandals Peak, which reaches an elevation of 6,952 feet. I really hope that's not anywhere near where I am. Let's have a quick look see. Oh, it looks like it's far away from here. It's in the southeastern part of Iceland. Those mountains over there do look fairly high. And they certainly look higher than what I am. I think just for my safety, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up. To about 8,000 foot, just so that we can be sure that we at least 1,000 foot higher than the highest point in Iceland. Gonna start a slow climb. Climb at about 300 feet per minute. You can just make out the sun coming up. About time. Oh wow, look at that. I hope it doesn't take us into the clouds, but if we do, we'll just kind of stick it out for a little bit so we can get to the other side of these mountains. Wow, that is an unbelievable sunrise. As far as I recall, I think that's an airport over here. Somewhere here there's an airport. Possibly that down there. Yep, that looks like a runway. What we have in front of us, I think, is the town of... I'm not doing any of this justice, but Sauderkroker. That's it over there. $7,000 almost. So we're clearing the highest peak in Iceland. $1,000 to go. We're also just about to intercept the magenta line. Fuel gas temperature is quite high, but we're fine. Temperature and pressures are good. Fuel's looking good. Fuel flow is a bit higher, but it's fine. So we're currently over water, and then we're going to clear a ridge. And there we are, into the clouds. I think. Yep, pretty much. Just gonna turn the strobe light off while we're in the clouds here, so we don't end up blinding ourselves. About 250 feet to go. Then we're at 8,000. Should put us well clear of these mountains ahead. Okay, there's 8,000, we're going to level off. Minus 21 degrees Celsius. About outside, which is exceptionally cold. Also just about to intercept the navigation, so the aircraft should start a gentle turn to the right now. Once we intercept, there we go, there's the turn. It's mighty bumpy over here. Okay, we're set up for the cruise. I'm going to leave the aircraft like this for a bit, and I'll be back in about 20-ish minutes to get set up for the approach and landing. See you guys then. Well, that's something you don't see every day. It's a blood red sky like that. Feels like I've just flown into the upside down. For those of you who are fans of Stranger Things. So I'm planning the approach for Isafjordur, and it seems that runway 08, which is the one we're going to be landing on, requires a full 180-degree turn before we're able to land. So that's going to be quite interesting. Let's hope we can pull that off. Okay, so I've just got the approach set up for our landing. Never really tried this a VNAV approach or an RNAV approach in this aircraft. So let's hope I've done everything right. But let's see. This weather is really something else. So at the moment we are routing towards waypoint Elgit, Echo Lima Golf Uniform Tango, and from there we're going to do the RNAV-D approach, which is the one that requires the 180-degree turn to line up with runway 08. That should be fun and interesting. Gotta try something new. Okay, so I've just activated the approach. I'm going to start coming back on the speed a bit. I want to be at about 100 knots just on the descent. Latest information I have for the airport at Isafjordur is QNH1019. Oh, what a nice cloud break. I'm going to set that. One 019. Okay, that's looking quite cool. I'm going to keep the speed up a little bit. Yeah, I'm going to start a slow descent down to 4,000 feet. And start slowing us down. There's that wind and the gust that I was speaking about earlier. Currently it's 30 knots, gusting to 50, represented in the movement of the aircraft. Here we are at Algot. Just watch this airspeed indicator. This is going to be one hairy landing. Those gusts are actually incredible. Four 4,000 feet to go. Going to be dropping that speed even more. Just want to maintain 100 on the approach. Okay, well you can see the fjord that we're going to be flying into over here. We're at 4,000 feet, a little bit high, but we can definitely catch up. Let me increase descent rate. No, it's actually the next one. The next fjord down. I'm really glad the clouds have lifted and I can do a VFR approach. Going to be very wild. So this airport is actually located on the side of a hill. We're going to be flying very close to the landscape, as it were. Should make for some good sights. Okay, should be on our left here. There it is. Okay, I'm going to turn the autopilot off and I'm going to hand fly from here. Wish me luck. Alrighty, there's the airport. Looks like they got some red approach lights. That's to help everyone approaching. There is. Wow, this wind is something completely else. I think I'm actually being drifted into this hill here. Wow, if I can put this thing down. There we go, 1,000 feet. I actually think this is almost got to be a flapless approach. I think these gusts will rip my flaps off. Okay. Don't want to get too low here. just going to try and widen my turn as much as possible into this valley. I'm going to start my turn here. Okay, hopefully I'm flying into the wind. Yeah, need to start dropping down now. Obviously I want to avoid this mountain over here. Okay, it is 400. Speed is still very high. Oh, approach is very unstable. Whoop. Whoa, we have arrived. What an insane approach. All right. Welcome to Isafjordur. Gonna do a U-turn on the runway here. The wind is blowing so strong that I actually can't even turn around. Gosh, I'm actually struggling to. My plane is weather vaning. I have to tap the brakes to get her around. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Come on. Actually insane. Wow, that was insane. What a beautiful airport. The approach is so ridiculous. Whoa, weather vaning is really pushing the aircraft around. Try to get her up this hill now. Gotta keep the speed up to get up this hill. What? Alright, this is where I'm gonna park. Make sure the flaps are retracted, landing lights are off, strobe lights come off, parking brake, set that before I fly away. Pitot heat we can turn off, stereo lights off, avionics master goes off, mixture idle cut off, ignition off, battery master, beacon off. Well guys, there you have it. A very ridiculous flight into a beautiful airport. You can hear that wind is howling. Never had an aircraft weather vane like that. It was almost impossible to turn her around. Well, in fact, I struggled. But this is what we do. I can see how this can be a very treacherous place to fly into. But anyways, thank you guys all for flying with me. Had a great time, learned a lot, saw the Stranger Things scenery. Catch me next time for the flight out of this airport and on the way to Reykjavik. Drop a comment in the comment section below if you want to suggest a plane for me to fly. Otherwise, it's probably going to be this Walker Air Charlie 172. But let's hear what you have to say. Thanks so much. Flyaway J's out. Peace.